the Ethiopian president was also at the UN. So, I mean, there's usually that track record. You know, we've also had, like you made mention earlier on, there are women who have given a good account of themselves. But again, we have to look at the fact that, yes, there are encumbrances. But let's even put it this way. Can't women just say, okay, we're going to vote one person, so to speak?
So, which is what I was thinking. Women should not wait to be given the opportunity.
Just like the youths didn't wait to be given the
Yes,
opportunity.
power is not served a la carte. So if they put their feet down and say that, except it's a woman, we're going against this party, every party will kowtow to the demands of women. We've had major incidents in this country and around the world where women's movements have liberated entire nations and states. There was the About Women riot in 1929. So if a women's group gets up today and says, hey, party A, if you don't feel a female presidential candidate, we're not going to vote for you. If you don't feel a female vice president, those are good starting points. You'll be surprised that all the men will kowtow to them.
Yeah, so I mean, okay, she made mention of Obi Ezekwesili, but again, there are other women who are also, you know, vying for this office. I mean, they've won their party tickets and all of that. I mean, what will be their chances?
What will be their chances?
I mean, in terms of, I mean, because you made mention of the fact that it's going to be a two-horse race. But then, like you said, if women should stamp their foot on the floor and say, this is what we want, your party should fill the female candidate in the position of vice president or president, and that doesn't happen. I mean, now women have the opportunity, you know, to stand behind one of them, you know, and demand for that office. I think Nigeria is right, if you ask me.
Yeah. I mean, I believe anything can happen. We've seen that. I mean, the most recent example is what happened with the Not Too Young to Run bill.
Yeah.
It took a while. There were lots of hurdles, but then it happened. So I believe that anything can happen if we start some form of movement or something close to say that, you know what, this woman running is great, this woman is fantastic, we want her to win and we're going to rally behind her. And you can't take away, you know, the fact that she's fantastic from her, because we've seen her credentials. She has a track record, something for us to actually bank on. So there's nothing stopping us from saying, you know what, let's have a change, and this time we want a woman. So I believe that if we actually, you know, sit down, have a conversation about it and say that we're going to support this woman and go, just as we've had with Not Too Young to Run, the conscious, continuous effort, then we are going to have a female president. It might not even be in 2019, but at least if we start now, it will be a build-up to you know, the next election after 2019. So I'm very, you know, I think let me just say I'm optimistic. There's a possibility that we're going to have that soon.
All right, so now the question, I mean, you paraphrased the question to, can Nigeria have, you know, a female president at the moment? And, you know, she was speaking, Miriam also decided to paraphrase in her own, saying that, you know, what we need now is a good leader, you know, be it, you know, a lady or a female, I mean, or a male. But the thing is, at the moment, we have about 23 incumbent female presidents around the world. And again, bringing back the fact that Nigeria is the most populous nation, black nation, so to speak. I mean, we should be leading from the front. But I mean, before Nigeria, other African countries, you know, have already set the pace. When will Nigeria follow?
Our being the most populous nation also in Africa also comes with a lot of complexities. Malawi is less than half the population of Lagos State. Exactly. Ethiopia, I think, pretty much the same. Liberia was just emerging from a war, and that's what probably gave Mrs. Ernie Johnson Sirleaf the opportunity. She talked about Mrs. Amina Mohammed. She literally took that name out of my mouth. A woman with a very impressive CV. She came from the UN to become Minister of Environment. The UN demanded for her back again. She's doing a wonderful job back there. Yeah. But as it's structured, I mean, Obi Ezekwesili is not likely to be able to make any good impact because she's with a relatively unknown party. The way our political system is structured is that you must have physical structures in each of the 36 states and Abuja. I think she has entered the race rather late because she's been preoccupied with several other things. So I don't see her making much impact. If she's preparing for 2023 or sometime after, it will be good. But I don't doubt her capacity to lead at all.
So now let's look at the build-up to if it doesn't happen now, the build-up to 2023. Like you said, the Not Too Young to Run movement actually started from somewhere, and today it's liberated, you know, young people who were, you know, encumbered by, you know, age to seek political offices. But so what should women be doing? I mean, apart from just saying, okay, we want to support a lady, because the truth is, even amongst the young people now, you know, they don't just support any young person who comes out to run for office. So what should women be doing in trying to achieve the same?
Let me just say that when I say that there should be a build-up to whatever election comes after 2019, I mean, I don't mean just in terms of a woman being president. I just mean in terms of having more women represent us in whether it's the local government or the state government or whatever in general. So I think the first thing that we need to do is even to gather, to start a conversation around it first. That's the same thing that happened with Not Too Young to Run. Young people started conversations like, you know what, hold on, we should be part of this, we should be able to participate because we are like the future of the country. So let's have that with women first. And I'm very excited that people like Remi Shonaya, Amina J. Mohammed, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Obi Ezekwesili, these women have sort of told the path, because then we have something to follow. What we need usually during revolutions is just for one person to start it, one person to be rebellious, and then we have something to follow. So with that blueprint or footprint in mind, we can start those conversations like, you know what, we want more women to be to go into politics, to go into governance in our country. Now, I know it's going to be very difficult. We have to be honest with ourselves. We've seen what happened to women and young people during the primary elections, especially with a certain political party. We've seen how they were outside, and we know that we're going to have challenges. But I think the first thing to do is to have those conversations before we start thinking about, okay, you go for this role and you go for that role.
Let me bring back Mariam into the conversation. Mariam, so let's look at the fact that one of the candidates which you mentioned, Mrs. Ezekwesili, came in rather pretty late into the contest, and Babajide mentioned the fact that you need to have structure in the 36 states of the country as well as the FCT. Do you think that will count, the late entry will count against her in the run, during the elections?
So when I think about the progress of female leadership in Nigeria, I don't necessarily expect or think that a woman becoming president is going to change everything, or is going to be what even if Dr. Obi Ezekwesili doesn't win in 2019, it doesn't matter. The fact that she's running on such a platform for such a position matters in terms of beginning to change the way people think, which I think area has a factor that limits women in Nigeria. So, for example, we have the Gender Equal Opportunity Bill. With the Gender Equal Opportunity Bill, it's asking for simple things so that women can even hold leadership within companies, to be entitled to things that they should have a right to. And that is already having a problem just for the basic rights that a woman should have. It already has a problem in Nigeria. There are so many things that need in order to promote female leadership first. Yes.
We're just finding a little bit a little bit difficult to hear you. I think your internet is trying to put us under this great conversation.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you can. I can. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was saying that there are also cultural and religious issues that affect female leadership. And unless those things are dealt with, you could have a female leader who a lot of people are not able to listen to. So even from the Gender Equal Opportunity Bill, that's something we need to deal with. We need to address it. Earlier, it was mentioned that women need to kind of mobilize to come together. Yes, that is true. That's something that needs to be done in religious bodies, in cultural bodies, and in every other sense. And I think that even if Obi Ezekwesili doesn't win, it doesn't matter as much. What matters a lot right now is the fact that she's running, and a lot of people will see that as representation and also be encouraged to do the same.
All right, I have to say thank you for joining us on the program today. Mariam Loshi, you joined us from Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So just in concluding the conversation, she made mention, of some barriers which we didn't put into perspective in the first place, religious and cultural barriers. How do we break those hurdles? I mean, how do we break those barriers?
I don't see that we're going to be able to break it anytime soon. We live in an environment that is very male dominated. Certain parts of the country are less liberal than others, and there are many parts of the country where a woman will not be seen leading the pack. In the past, women were not to be seen or heard eventually we're at a point in our evolution where women are seen and heard. So I think that would really take a lot of time. And then to lend my voice to the Obi Ezekwesili factor, this is not the first time we're having women run. Remi Shonaya was a good candidate in the 2015 general elections. She didn't make much impact in terms of the number of votes that she amassed, but at least she earned her name. She's built a reputation on that. Before that,
we're also forgetting Sarah Jibril.
I was going to say that's where I was going next. We also had Sarah Jibril in about 2 or 3 elections before that. She ran back to back, and she's the first. She's gone down in history as the first woman to ever vie for the office of the presidency. So there are women out there, and they're not limited in numbers.
Do you think those barriers can be broken?
I think they can be broken, but I think they will take time. And I completely agree with what Mariam said about conversations, and this is why I keep saying conversations, because for you to break the cultural barrier, the thing that believes that women should not have equal opportunities with men, you have to have conversations. Where do you have these conversations? You talk to local community leaders who can influence what people who already have that thing imbibed in them think. You talk to religious leaders. We've had great examples of religious leaders like Sanusi Lamido talking about these things before. If we can get to those people, teachers, pastors, lecturers, and have those conversations on the need for women to participate, then we can break the barrier, even though it will take a while, but it's possible.
I hope that while won't be as, long as it sounds or it is. But I mean, I have to say as well, thanks for joining us on the program, Aisha Salahuddin,
Thank you
as well as Babajide Benson.
Thank you for having me.
It was a great conversation.